If we think about what they need to see and what they can do, if I go out to, for example, Workload Change Manager and look at how the innovative side actually sees the creation of this, it really is very simple and very straightforward. It's a website they come to. It's a request that they make. So if I want to create a new job flow, I give the request a name. I can even put in the individual RFC number, right? My email notification. I can even set up a series of site standards for them that actually asks them for information. Or I actually put rules inside of control and say, these are the way your job name should be formatted. This is what your application group should look like. These are the only hosts that you should be able to utilize for your objects. These kinds of standards that we have on the industrialized IT side had to take time to enforce, now are automatically enforced for me. So if I am going to create a job, for example, in my test environment for my payroll application, I can go ahead and set up those standards ahead of time, so that every time that application developer comes into this view, they only get a chance to use the objects I allow them to use. In this case, a distributed OS object. They use Hadoop. They use databases. They use web services. They use Informatica. I automatically have default information coming in and working with this developer. In this case, they're building a test application for payroll. And then they can add whatever they wish to add at the end. You'll notice that it's getting interactive prompts. The folder name cannot contain random data. You must give it something. So, for example, if I cleared this off, changed it from payroll, and put in the word Dave, and I left, you'll notice that the gold box is still here. And if I come back into the field, it actually says, hey, the underscore is missing. The field has a format of this. If we think about the enforcement of standards, and we think about this thought process of speed is king, but it has to be safe. Standards make it safe. Having the ability to do this at the developer level, where somebody's actually getting proactively told what to do, is what Workload Change Manager does. And that process isn't someone beating someone over the head about fitting a standard. It's guiding them. It's forcing them down a specific pathway so that when they create their automation, when they use the objects that are available to them, when they provide the information about the automation that they need run to facilitate their innovative application, that a lot of it is already done for them and is showing them what to do. And if I go back in here and I put in that underscore and I put in Dave again and I leave the field, you'll notice the gold box goes away. And every time I drag an object in there, I grab, for example, the OS object and I drag it into that individual folder, you'll notice that the job name is partially formed for me. I have individual things that are absolutely required, and I have specific rules that go along with creation of these fields. I can submit these. They come into Control M as specific requests. They're picked up by the subject matter expert in the automation group in the industrialized IT side, and they look at them. They work with the developer through this interface. It's something simple. It's something easy to transition to. These people who are application developers that are code people now don't have to worry about the automation code because it's an object that they utilize. It's a job they create. It's something that's already, in most cases, pre-formed for them. Default information is available to them. Individual prompts are coming up saying, hey, this is a required field. You need to provide data here. Hey, this is a required field. You need to provide something here. You put in whatever that field is, and all of a sudden it goes away if it follows the standards. Things like host names. This host name is missing. It should be one of these, Demo 8, Demo 9, Demo 10. Again, it's not beating them over the head with it. It's just guiding them. This is what you should select. This is what you should do. So this becomes a very interactive process for the application developer. It becomes a very interactive process for the innovative IT person. They don't have to think about the code that they have to write. They don't have to write a whole bunch of scripts or commands because it's already done for them. These types of things are what Control M presents these days as part of this supercharging, this superpowering of applications in the industrialized IT environment. If we think about application integration and we think about application integrator, the thought process is the same. I come in to a website, I sign in to create the rules that allow me to bridge the gap between Control-M and a third-party technology. I have a whole bunch of job types that are already here. But you'll notice, like I've talked about before, there are collaborative capabilities here. For example, importing a job type from the application hub. If I see something in the hub that I want to bring in and I want to look at, I can come to Application Integrator, tell it to import it, and it will download it. I've already downloaded a whole bunch of these for Application Integrator so far. All of these came from the hub. One of them happens to be Teradata. Teradata is becoming more and more of an application data store on the back end that a lot of people are using. And to get information out of it, to get processes run in it, they use something called BTEQ, which is the interface that is available between any third-party application and Teradata. If I look at that, I can actually see that I have the ability to define pre-execution steps, execution steps, post-execution steps to do specific things. And in this case, since it's a command line integration, for example, I have what command lines I put in, what information I'm getting from the job definition in the object, or the object fields that are part of the job definition, where they need to be substituted in the commands, how I handle any return codes that come back or any output that I should be looking at, what I do for post-execution, removing temporary files, giving me an exit code. And I can have as many of these pre-execution, regular execution, and post-execution steps as I need to get the bridge built between Control-M and that new innovative third-party application. I can create connection profiles where I can actually say, in order for this to work, I have to standardize how I get across the bridge. I need this information, and I'm going to use it every time. The run ID, the Teradata Director Program ID, the user ID, the password. This becomes something that becomes standard for all of the integrations that we use for Teradata. And for those of you that are Control-M customers already today, this is no different than what you would do with any of the other control modules. For those of you on older releases of Control-M, in the case of version 7, version 6, and so forth, these were called accounts. In version 8 and version 9, they're called connection profiles. Regardless of what you call them, they follow the same function. They actually are there to stabilize how I connect between Control-M and that third-party integrated application. I also have the ability to decide what I want in my job definition. What information do I have to get from the application developer? In this case, I really only need two things, the connection profile and the, in this case, Teradata script I want to run. But if there were more things that I needed, I can build out all of the fields that I want presented to them in that object, and then it would be collected when they use it. And this is not just an object that would be created for an application developer. This is used both by the application developer in the innovative IT side and in the industrialized IT side as well. Objects are not just relegated to one side or the other. They can be used by either side. But the thought process here is I have everything I need in one specific structure to get me from here to Teradata in this case. This is the kind of innovation. This is the kind of automation. This is the kind of thing that Control-M presents to supercharge the application development process, to make it easier on the application developer to do their job as efficiently as possible. Now, when we think about all of the other things Control-M presents, we also have to think about how I get that information to the end user. How do they actually see it? How do they actually get a chance to look and see the health and temper of their individual applications? And that's where the interface that we call self-service becomes important, where I can actually go out and say, show me the processes that are start with DLE. There it is. I have a tile that shows me exactly what's going on in that flow. I know there's a problem in it. I know it's start and end time. I know it's managed to an SLA. I can even show that to an individual user in a single line, or they can actually dive into that set of objects to see where the problems are. They can see what the real-time information is. So in this case, for the DLE Job 13 that's failed here, I can actually go out and see that it has failed. I can look at its output. I can see what Control-M did in its log. I can see all of these things without having to know anything about Control-M, without having to know anything about the automation behind it. So I don't have to be a Control-M heavy to understand this. And I can see this way in the web browser. I can see it on my phone or on my tablet the same way. This further enables the application development teams, the application management teams, the business owners, the business application owners, whatever title you wish to give them, to actually see and understand what's going on with their process, how far into their processes they are they going to make their deadlines and so forth, what problems exist, and how they should react to them. Supercharging power enabling applications really can be done very efficiently with Control-M. You don't have to have a ton of expertise in the automation discipline to do it. And Control-M has these interfaces available to allow those folks who are not automation folks, that are not industrialized IT automation heavy people, to utilize this platform to create the appropriate automation that supercharges their innovative IT applications. This is the kind of thing that we present Control-M for all the time. This is something that we have continued to strive for and evolve for as we continue the release structures here at BMC for Control-M. Control-M version 9 actually walked out the door in July. It was officially released to the general public at our Engage seminar, as Dick mentioned earlier, this past September. The first fixed pack was released at the beginning of January. So this product has been continuously adopted by many of our customers, and new releases have been coming in, feedback has been coming in, things that we need to fix, change, and enhance have all been coming in at great speed. And it's been one of those things that a lot of people have been using with their application developers to create a bridge between that innovative IT and that industrialized IT that we've all know and love for many, many years and many, many jobs probably.